Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the StarLadder League StarSeries Season 14. My name is Blue. I am the caster filling in for today's stream. Fortunately, solo casting. Might try to get somebody on for when I fill in the future from North America. But we are going live, of course, with our second map here in our first set of the day between Fnatic and Vexxed. Big surprise, of course, coming out from the previous map with Vexxed doing so well on their CT side and Fnatic having so many issues. But now we're going to go into train. Which, if I do say so myself, at least when we've looked at matches from Fnatic versus underdogs before, Fnatic, for the most part, has been very, very confident on this map, and they've definitely been one of the better teams in underdog matchups on this map when you just kind of look at the high-tier European teams. So, with that said, we are finishing up with the knife round right there, and I think Fnatic are going to end up coming out on top, so they're going to be able to start off here on the CT side. Now, of course, despite the good reputation from Fnatic coming into this matchup, you take a look at the issues they had in that previous map on their T side, of course, but you take a look at the previous issues that they had, and you wonder sort of, well, how is this going to work out for them? How are things going to change up? But of course, thankfully, they do get the better start over here on that CT side first, so they're going to get a chance to establish themselves. Vexxed, however, the big key thing is, sort of regardless of what ends up happening here in these first couple of rounds, it seems that Vexxed aren't really going to be too shut down by that. I mean, that first half really ended up going by the way of Fnatic by the end of it, and there was a couple rounds that Vexxed, I think, really should have really tried to sort in there, but unfortunately, it didn't really pan out too well for them. And I think that might have discouraged them a bit, or at least you would think for most teams that would discourage them, but it didn't end up happening, and they do very, very well for themselves. They bring themselves back into it, and they almost win that map. Thankfully, Fnatic are able to reestablish themselves, reground themselves before the map itself ends up going away, and they end up coming out on top just barely by that 16-14 mark. But that's not to underscore at all the performance from Vexxed. It was phenomenal. Specifically, Rallen along with Piotr did a great job there, so I think we're live at this point. Just a very slow pistol round to start things off. Vexxed are taking it nice and slow once again, but this was a problem for them too when we sort of talk about the last map. Of course, map differentials are coming into play a little bit here with it being train, and that slow play could work out a lot better for themselves if Fnatic end up misrotating, but with the team that has the experience of Fnatic, they might just be able to figure out what's going on or get themselves into a superior position to counter out what Vexxed are doing. And to be honest, what Vexxed are doing, they're just taking their time. They're trying to wait as long as possible to hopefully force a fall rotate here from the Fnatic players, and it's not going to work out. In fact, they get themselves into the perfect spot here. Olofmeister going to pick up 1 to 2. KRIMZ finding a third. Rallen did sneak through with 1, and basically I think from Vexxed here, one of the big things that they were looking to do, and you could tell by the position of the bomb that this was indeed the case, one of the big things that they were looking to do was just push themselves forward, get themselves onto that site, and get the plan as early as humanly possible. And then beyond that, whether they won or not was going to be irrelevant, because that could have enabled the potential for a third round buy. They get very close to doing that, and they even had a smoke set up in front of the train too, but it just doesn't go very well. And Fnatic actually do a fantastic job of holding that outside yard. A lot of it because of how slow, again, that Vexxed played it. Fnatic were able to catch on, and they rotated a 4th player over towards Ivy in case they did something really weird and worked in from Ivy. But like I said, they managed to make up for that anyway. They pick it up, and again, now Vexxed unfortunately are going to more than likely have to do the double save. They go pretty light on this buy though, so I think they may look to maybe try and do the same thing this time to enable that third round buy-up. That definitely seems, at least based on my personal experience, that seems to be sort of what they want to look for in the strategy. But a little bit of an engagement might be getting going here as Rallen takes a little bit of heat from that nade, dropped down to 75. flusha though, close quarters, not able to spot the head of Rallen just yet, but they're going to creep up, can't catch him, but there's the swag 7. One shot takes him down. That's going to drop Rallen, almost gets the second one there too, as Pete's very low at 10 HP. He finds another kill and looking for a third at this point. He's going to get it. So much money for flusha. 4 kills now, all with the mag 7, and now maybe looking for a 5th over on the GruBy as well. Oh my god, how much cash does he have at this point? He's got 3650 plus the winning bonus. Olofmeister is going to be a little bit mean and steal that last kill, of course, but oh my god, look at he's sitting at 6,800. He could buy an op right now if he wants to for JW, or even for himself, technically speaking. But I don't think he's going to do that. We take a look at Vexxed, and obviously they're going to have to full save once again here. Goes well the first round. Let's try it again. Let's try it again for the second round and see how things go there, and we'll see how that pans out for them. So flusha is going to push forward, takes it the same position. Let's see how Vexxed end up adjusting this one here too. We'll also see Hyper along with the rest of his team. They're both going to work their way down over here into the ladder room, trying to work their way into that outside yard, but it's going to be a massacre here. All of them getting shut down, and well, that pretty much speaks for itself. So we'll just let that sit there. So there's a confident 3 rounds starting out here from Fnatic. But we did see the same thing from them in the first map there too, where they pick up those first 3, and then at that point now, once Vexxed were able to get to a point where they could get the guns in their hands, that's where we saw the heat coming into play. I should mention, however, just kind of taking a look at the very minimal amount of statistics I do have on Vexxed. Unfortunately, Train I think was one of the maps Yeah, Train, I think, was one of the maps that this team really liked to avoid, so they're going to have, I think, a little bit more trouble working their plays here. However, to start it off, they find an opening kill. pronax finds the response. Hyper finds another one as they work up, and this great flank from Rallen, but that also is going to get traded out. So that leaves things into a 2-on-2. We should note, too, that this is an outside take where Flush has still been left with that Mag 7. He never actually upgraded it, but it doesn't even matter. Picks up one kill, able to swoop his way behind the ticket booth here to get himself out of harm's way for the second player, and now KRIMZ should be able to rotate and counter out the angle as he waits for Furlan just to make this push from ladder room. He catches him. Not going to be able to finish him off just yet, but he's got him low enough to where he shouldn't really be too big of a problem. Flush is one pistol shot away from finishing him off, and he's got the deagle anyway, so I believe that this round should go in the favor of Vexxed without too much further trouble, and that'll be Fnatic starting it off 4-0, including that rifle round into their favor. But there we go. KRIMZ gets the angle, takes him down. Furlan able to adjust quickly enough there, and exactly as we expected, 4-0. And look at that chat. Look at that change there, sitting on Fnatic's side. Look at that cash. Flusha at 10k, olofmeister at 10k. Some of them still gonna bind. I think Flusha. Nope. Still gonna use the Mag 7. As of course, this is gonna be another eco round for Vexxed, so why the hell not, I guess. He's got full utility with it too, so he can cause all kinds of chaos with this right now. If he gets like, I think if he gets like 3 kills with this again, then he basically could be on max money, but that's not even gonna happen. pronax messes up a little bit there, ends up taking down JW with a bit of a mistossed nade, I do believe, but with the money that Fnatic is already sitting on, I don't think they're going to be too worried about this one at all. Hyper is the only player left alive. He can probably sneak through with at least his 1 kill over here, but yep, pronax just I think was a little bit too happy or a little bit too indisposed with how quickly Fnatic had closed out that round, so he's not going to be able to catch him quickly enough to stop at least with that 1 kill from happening, but he very quickly adjusts, picks up the second frag, and that's going to end things once again now for the Fnatic players. 5-0, Vexxed still with not a kill left on the board here at this point, and still working to get themselves into that position, but their money is on the full losing bonus now, and again, because they did full eco once more, they actually have brought themselves into a position where they're going to go for a double op T-side setup, so this will be interesting to see how this one works out. And they're going to put Piotr, who's been the main opera for them so far. He's going to go with the group and work over, currently just outside the White Halls above the ladder room, and then Rallen as well, also going to be grouped up right next to him. Normally you would see them like putting themselves in separate positions, like one would work towards Ivy, but speaking of the Ivy approach, JW, nice and slow, James Bond up in here, as he creeps in, looks for that kill, but oh! All that work for nothing, as Hyper is going to shut him down. Tried to play that a little bit too cheeky, and unfortunately he's going to pay the price for this one. Does get some damage on the Hyper, and he spots a couple players, I guess, but overall here, it doesn't really change up the round too much, and olofmeister is going to find the trade anyway, but it will most definitely be a take into the inside yard now as they work down. Flash comes out, hits KRIMZ right in the face, can't resist these first 2 players coming out. Might be able to stop Piotr though, unless he's too quick on the trigger, which he won't be. That flank comes out too. They're not actually going to try to stop KRIMZ initially, and thankfully KRIMZ didn't aggress that, because exactly like this was going to happen now, or he could just spray blindly into that smoke and get a couple kills. pronax with the touchdown, he's going to take down GruBy, and again, this offensive is just going nowhere. Rallen is able to find at least 1 more kill over there from upper, but that may be the only one he's able to get at this point, is now he's going to get flashed back out. I don't even know if he's going to try to stop this defuse from happening. You could try to throw a nade in there. If he had a molly, this would be great, but I still think it was a little bit too early in the round. But at the same time, Fnatic also getting a little bit too aggressive, so they're going to lose flush before the round ends, and that op will still be saved. So we're still going to be looking at probably a pretty full buy-up coming out from Vexxed in the 7th round at this point. But Fnatic still strong at 6-0, and despite the fact that they lose 3 players, as I already talked about, the money specifically sitting on players like Flusha and whatnot, they've already got a decent amount, and so even for those that may have been lower, they could just buy up for them, and they're still going to be sitting pretty strong. Some have gotten a little bit lower at this point, but I mean, look at pronax at 9.5k, just 7 rounds into this one, and even having, I believe, probably drop a gun or 2 there just to keep the money even. These guys are not worried at all about their money at this point, so those is like a couple extra deaths. It's definitely going to bring the money down, and it's not too bad for Vexxed, but now we're at 6-0, and we're getting to that point where, you know, this would be great if the match was closer, if we were looking at like 6-4 or something a lot closer than that, but when, you know, your opponent's 6 points ahead of you, you can't really count economical victories as victories anymore. You need to look for actual round scores, as, again, the 6 points in itself, for the most part, is just going to keep you ahead. Granted, as olofmeister almost gets that kill over on the GruBy through the wall, we look at last round there too, and the fact that Fnatic were actually getting all these kills onto the players from Vexxed in their time, where they picked up 9 rounds in a row on CT side back over an overpass. A lot of that did, however, come into play. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I just think that, of course, you know, we look at a situation where it is right now where Fnatic are so far ahead, those kinds of things aren't really going to work too well. However, Vexxed, they're not done with this round just yet. They're actually going to pick up 2 kills at the beginning of this one as they move in, and Hyper finds a third, looking for a fourth, can't connect it, so he's going to drop down for Big Blue, but as he moves back in here, it's going to be flusha and KRIMZ trying to hold this. KRIMZ sneaks his way up into heaven. No one spotted him just as of yet, and flusha as well picks up another opening kill to work his way back in from connector. We're going to see KRIMZ waits for the peek, can't find the opening shot, but gets the spot on one of the behind the bomb train there. Hyper picks up the kill, flusha with another one, and now he's going to try to play ring around the rosy a little bit, but GruBy picks up the final one, and just barely Vexxed are going to end up coming out on top there. So finally a point onto the board for themselves, put themselves into a risky spot now because they're going to lose their losing bonus, and Fnatic are still very, very strong with their own money, but this is a good start for them. And now we have to see how Fnatic try to play this. There was another Magpie up here too, and that's going to get thrown over to JW, I do believe, to play over towards the towards back B halls at this point, because I think his money's gotten to a point where he can't really afford an op. They're definitely going to drop one. Like, pronax still has plenty of money, and there could have been an op, but actually they do still have an op play, but I think they may want to try to go for the double op set of them. Definitely, JW is not going to be as potent with that Mag 7, unfortunately. They were expecting that this time, so GruBy's going to pick up the opener. flusha with the response, though, so things will remain even for the time being, as the rest of the team work their way into the back halls there. And flusha, of course, being happy with that kill he grabbed. I think the players from Vexxed got a little bit too eager to work their way down the ramp at that point, and flusha was able to find an easy picking from that one because there was no utility support to actually get those players from the T side down the ramp. So for the time being, Vexxed again, just go back to a slow play. And I think they have evolved their strategy a little bit more too, which I do want to bring up here for a second while we're waiting for the actual action to get started at this point. I think Vexxed have sort of, like, you know, for the most part in that first map, they were either just pushing or playing it slowly. And obviously, Fnatic was able to figure that out. Definitely when they went for these aggressive plays, they had a lot more success on Vexxed side, but when they tried to play slowly, it just didn't really seem to be going well. Now they sort of evolved it into a combination of both. Like, we can see at the beginning that they tried to play a little bit more aggressive, and it hasn't gone too well for them at all, but now they're doing a combination of it. They're doing something a little bit more dynamic. That molly that was going to do a lot of damage, it actually kills a lot of these players. As we can see, pronax actually ends up killing both of them with it, as I think he actually traps one in. That's kind of a door stuck situation there. As that round could have gone a completely different way had that molly not have been present, but unfortunately it is back over there by ladder. That takes him down. He's only one Vexxed player left alive, and he's able to pick up that final kill. So for Fnatic now, excuse me, they're going to sit right back on the top here as far as their round score is concerned. The money has definitely sort of gone away in a pretty big way, but it's the same story for Vexxed, and they have the full save now. So they've got 4 smokes. I imagine this will be a pretty quick attempt to make an outside yard take here and hopefully get lucky with a couple headshots, but without any investment at all into guns or armor, this is going to be a very futile effort to get themselves into that outside yard, and I think Fnatic will be able to see this coming from a mile away, essentially. So here they go, a lot coming in from T-Con. One's going to work his way in from ladder room as well, potentially here, but JW should be able to pop that, and there you go, headshot somehow through the bottom of his body. I'll let the CSGO devs explain that one, but they do manage to sneak in here and get the plant, which I think was the big deal with this, so it's going to be pretty much a shutdown from Fnatic beyond this. Hyper does manage to sneak through with 1 kill, looking for the second, but the aim punch is going to affect them a little bit too much there, and they clean it up. But with the whole deal there with buying the 4 smokes is not really to you know, move in and actually win the round, it's just to sneak in and get the plant, so that now they can probably go right back into their buys. Some players may be a little bit lapsing on the utility, but for most now, they're going to be in a very good spot to where they can not only get the AK, they can get the full armor, but they can also get a nice utility kit added onto that one as well. Not probably going to be looking at like mollies or anything as of yet, but at the very least, it does let them work with a little more. And Peet is actually able to sneak through with an op, but it's going to be glass cannon, so that's obviously going to be risky in itself here, and he's going to have to rely on some big pickup. However, he might end up getting lucky with this one. Olofmeister currently trying to work his way out over onto the Ivy approach, which at this point, Vexxed have not played anyone to that. So yeah, Olofmeister is just essentially going to walk right out to that, as I think he had been given plenty of reason to believe it might have been clear, and there's going to be a kill picked up from him, and Peet's actually sticking around, but he unscopes, and so unfortunate that he does this too, as he might have been able to pick up pronax had he stayed around for a little bit longer. He had a great position holding up over there, but it's not really going to end up working out for him, so I don't think pronax is going to push that either, just for safety reasons, but this could actually work out great for pronax too. And oh, Hyper almost getting spotted out there, but it's going to be able to survive for now. And now, again, pronax sneaking up on these guys. A big flank opportunity opening up for him as Vexxed try to go for those smokes. They're going to be working into T-Con here in just a second, but he's going to be a very big player. Comes out, spots one, takes him down, looks for the second coming down the steps right now, but not expecting that one, so the trade comes out from Rallen as the rest of the team now try to work their way into the outside yard. Once again, flusha jumps up, able to spot one by electrical. More on the way in, but there's a lot of molly action coming on here too, and Peet's trying to get himself up on top of the trains to find a couple picks with this up. Picks up one over on a KRIMZ. He's going to move back in here, and some of the players from Fnatic have been picked off pretty nicely, and they've even rotated the bomb back over into the inside yard now too, where it's much safer. But flusha, he's not done just yet. He's going to find a second kill. We'll have to 4K this one if he wants to win it, but it's going to be tough. He's got no utility left, no flash, there's nothing. It's just going to be a blind sight retake here to try and find a way back in, and he's also revealed himself I'm pretty sure that Furlan's able to see where he's coming from, and indeed, he is going to be able to shut him down. So that'll be another very well played around there by Vexxed. Some good attempts from Fnatic to catch on some of these flank angles, but they either were completely shut down in the case of Peet picking up that first shot over there on olofmeister, or when they did come to fruition, they only got, you know, like a trade kill or two there. So, with that in mind, it looks like we are going to go into another pause here from Vexxed. Not really sure if it's strategical or tactical. But it looks like it is going to be, apologies. Looks like it is going to be another technical or tactical pause here for these guys to just take a moment, figure out what the heck they're doing, and then we'll get right back into it. But I mean, this is good for Vexxed anyway, regardless, just to try and figure out what they're doing, even if they are going to use this kind of as a quote unquote technical pause, because now they sit pretty far behind, 6 rounds behind Fnatic at this point. Their strategies haven't really been doing the best. This one works out great for them, so it is going to be a good pickup for themselves. But for Fnatic now, this is actually going to be a little bit of a worrying point when we take a look at the money that they have left to work with now. You know, they still are able to get a pretty confident buy this time. JW, of course, no utility onto his op buy, but he's managed to pick that up at the very least. But for the rest of the team, you look at least 3 out of 4 of these guys have got a full kit to work with. Flusha as well, a little bit lower. He could actually buy up these 2 flashes if he wants to, and he may just go for the full buyout as JW has already done the same. So if they actually end up dropping this one here, then it could be a turning point for both teams. Essentially, it's going to mean an eco to whoever loses it at this point. Olofmeister would probably be the only player that can maybe do like a Tech 9 armor, just barely able to sneak through like a glass cannon Galil, but how often do you see that, to be completely honest? So we probably wouldn't end up seeing that. More than likely, it would just be a full save from Fnatic if Vex come out on top. And that's a big testament too here, because you just have to think back from when we had that SWAG 7 doing like 4 kills in a row, and it doing just so much damage, even in the gun round there too that we ended up playing it with. Fnatic was just rolling in the cash, and Vexxed again have done a very nice job of deteriorating that despite only picking up 2 rounds in the process. So they've actually brought that economy down to a very manageable point for themselves. Only 1 round picked up, and they've got Fnatic very weak for 1 to 2 rounds here as they try to reestablish their own economy, as Vexxed again here do sort of have the initiation going into this 11th round. But that's also the thing here too, is we're getting very close to the end of the half, and Vexxed are still only with 2 points on the board here. So if things turn back around and Fnatic also pick up this round, they themselves are also in a very delicate spot as far as their money is concerned. As you take a look at it, they as well, they're going to be reset after this one. They'll have to full save for the most part too, so that's not really going to let them go for any big buy-ups there. They probably are just going to be stuck on a Tech 9 armor at the very most for the majority of their team. And that, of course, should probably be an easy round for Fnatic. And especially if Fnatic comes out of this one very clean, too. We could technically still see a couple Fnatic players being, like, low enough here to where they won't even really be able to afford a sufficient buy-up, but Hyper's going to start it off here from Vexxed. Picks up a nice headshot over onto KRIMZ. And now off of the hands of this JW ends up pushing forward here, too, over towards T-Con. He finds another one on the Hyper. And there's a trade that Fnatic are looking for now to keep it. And I think he might have dropped the bomb with this one, too. Didn't want to stick around for that, but it looks like the bomb is more naturally placed there by the players from Vexxed, so he may not have caught it just as of yet. And they still have a little bit of a veil of illusion. Be interesting to see though if GruBy actually continues on his current path, just sort of solo pushing into the outside yard, and then leaving his other teammate Peet to try and work something in from Ivy. pronax has got his eyes peeled onto that one, so he won't be moving away from this one anytime soon. But I think that Fnatic as well has also figured out, with all this noise happening in the inside yard, they know that that's going to become a great shot from olofmeister. That's going to finish off Furlan, and Peet sneaking in for free. In just a second though, in comes pronax, but Peet shuts it down, picks up 1 kill. JW's going to move in, almost able to line them up, but connects 1 good shot. Looking for the no scope, gets a little bit greedy there, gets a little low scope again, but GruBy is just going to shut him down. JW definitely looking to show off a little bit there, but it's not going to pay off too well. That nade comes in, and now it's Flush to try to clutch it out, and if he does, it's actually going to be great. Picks up 1, looking for the second with 7 HP, and thankfully Peet saves it, and again, Peet coming out on top here for the players on Vexxed. They pick that one up. He survives it with 29 HP, and Fnatic again now. This is great for the players on Vexxed. As Fnatic, they've now broken themselves. It's going to be P250 vibes at max. I don't even think they're going to want to risk it and go for armor at this point, as they've still got a very cushiony lead. They might be going to want to look for like 1 to 2 more pickups here in order to put them at like a 10-5 half again, which is, you know, fairly sufficient as far as train coefficients are concerned. However, if we don't see Vex keeping themselves consistent too here, they've got themselves into, you know, this one round where they're still going to be able to keep things going, and they've got a couple of free ones on the Fnatic, but they've also got to be careful of not letting Vex get that scoreline back up to like 8-7 or something like that, as that would still be a pretty good half for Vexxed and could open up the floodgates for a potential comeback like we saw in that last map there too. So GruBy's going to find the opening kill here. GruBy's pretty low at this point too as they try to work in. They're going to make sure they play this. Still, Just because Fnatic are Fnatic and they can pick up some very impressive individual plays here. They're still going to play this a little bit more cautiously, but they seem to be managing themselves quite well. GruBy and Peet finding a fairly easy task of getting themselves into this inside yard. Probably with a bit of trouble, but now Furlan and the rest of the team, they're going to rotate their way down. And KRIMZ, the final player alive, trying to go for those long-range USP shots. That's never really going to work out. Very hard to pick those up. So that's 4 points now for Vexxed going onto the board here. Very clean one, too. Fnatic, I think we're definitely looking for a couple extra kills, but they only found one. So that's not going to be too good looking forward here, and in terms of trying to break the Vexxed economy. We still got Hyper looking a little bit low, but for the rest of the team, they're slowly getting to that point now where they may be able to go for a buy-up, at least for one round, to make it through Fnatic here. But Fnatic have also reestablished themselves. They only have to do one save, actually. I thought they were going to be looking at two with how much they had bought out, but they only go for one. It does leave them a little bit low in the utility end of things on some of their players, but for the most part here, they're still looking very, very good in the long run of things for playing this round out here. They got the M4s, they got the armor. Nobody really buying up head armor, but keep in mind, of course, those AKs. The Galil, I don't think is going to have them, but those AKs are going to be one-shot headshots anyway, so head armor doesn't even really matter on the CT side. We've seen that kind of evolving over the past few months here in Europe and the North American teams. Like, they're kind of realizing, like, when the money isn't absolutely perfect, like, yeah, we really don't need the head armor, so a lot of teams have sort of just been avoiding that. But here we go, Vexxed going for a pretty typical outside take, but a good smoke comes in, so it's going to slow Vexxed down by quite a bit. Nonetheless, they traded out 1-for-1 as Furlan pushes in and picks up a kill, but KRIMZ is also there too. He's going to find another one. Now Hyper gets himself up on top as Peet also pushes forward on the left side. pronax still holding back over there inside a connector. He's going to be able to pick up another kill here, and a second one as well back over there by Electrical over on the rallen. So it's just Hyper stuck over here, still way back by T-Con. Can't even get that bomb at this point, so he's going to try to pick up a kill over onto one of these players. flusha, I believe, is the one who directly challenged him, but flusha again wins the trade, comes out of it with 15 HP, and Fnatic have now reestablished themselves. Vexxed, the money will be reset. They're not really going to have enough to go for another buy here. A couple players were good, a couple players weren't good, so they go for the buy. They can get 4 rifles, as I talked about before. It was in a good enough spot to where they can definitely get the rifle buys, but the utility is going to be weak. Hyper, however, as we also mentioned too, because he was the one that died in the other round that they won, his money's pretty much going to be gone for, so he can only afford a Deagle armor buy-up, but he's got 1 smoke to work with the rest of his team. So here we go. It's going to be a quick attempt, at the very least, to make some noise over here towards the back of the B site, and it will draw some attention here from Fnatic, but it's not going to be a jerk rotation. Nobody's just going to move into that site on, you know, sort of without any further questioning of that one. And flusha as well moves in with the Mag 7 once again, picks up a kill back over here through upper as he works his way up the staircase. pronax finds another one too. They have flanker back over there from Vexxed is taken out, and there's flusha again with another shot from the Mag 7. That shotgun, pretty long-range kill too, and he considers it, but it's going to work out, and the molly comes in, burning the body's alive, but he's going to run through the molly, picks up another one, and the call! Where's the call for Hyper? Hyper doesn't even realize it. flusha just rolls in and gets another 4K with that gun. Holy crap. And of course, that easily leads into an op buy for him. He's sitting on plenty of cash. We go into the 15th round, so all that money doesn't really mean anything anyway, but yeah, that's gonna be an easy op buy up for him to work for now, and he's actually gonna push this one aggressively too. It looks like working his way forward. I'm not sure if he's actually gonna go all the way up the ramp, but I think he's gonna look. Yeah, this is a pretty typical spot for oppers and riflers to push towards, as oftentimes we see that forward position being taken so that players can work their way into upper. If they don't smoke this off, could be troublesome. But regardless, elsewhere on the map there too, there is gonna be a little bit of a battle being had. I believe that's over by T-Con. Peet trying to get lucky back over here. Picks up the headshot over on a pronax. A little bit rough, but he manages to survive the encounter with 15 HP. And that's going to open up the Ivy push angle and divert a little bit more attention of Fnatic away from T-Con as well as the ladder room and back over there towards Ivy to make sure that that stays secure. Thankfully, though, JW able to pick up another kill over there on the Hyper inside of T-Con. And that flash from Olofmeister goes in. I'll hold ladder room back for a couple extra minutes, but it doesn't actually look like Vexxed. Vexxed obviously aren't going to be committing to this outside yard. The bomb is very, very slowly working its way here down ramp. Too slowly. Again, that issue kind of peeks its ugly head for Vexxed once again. And at the end of the day, Fnatic, although we did see some pretty nice rounds from Vexxed there executively, but Fnatic overall, as I talked about before, in underdog matchups, Fnatic are an absolute monster on this map, so I don't think they're worried at all. This is their map pick, apologies. This is their map pick as well for a very good reason, and they're going to be looking pretty good, to be honest, heading into that second half. Now, we said the same thing about them on the previous map here too, because of the way things went sort of in the mid-half, and then Vexxed brought it back a little bit, but Vexxed, unfortunately, with them not picking up the pistol here, it's put them into a situation where, you know, they're only looking at four rounds that they were able to take away because of gun rounds, and even when they did, it was a little bit rough to keep that money up for them, so immediately as soon as they lost again, they were broken. They had to go for this very awkward buy with a Deagle in the mix there, and 4 AKs and a very limited utility kit, and Fnatic just basically shut it down from that point forward. And by the way, in case anybody is wondering or they can't see it currently at the top of the screen, this is a best of 3 set, currently in map number 2. Fnatic is leading. They took the last map. It was a really good map. So if you don't get the opportunity, if you didn't get the opportunity to watch it live, I highly suggest you go and watch the VOD once we're finished with the stream today, as It was a pretty nail-biter game, to be completely honest. But we'll go into the pistol round here of the second half, and olofmeister picking up 2, JW with the third. Flusha looking to get his hands dirty, but he can't find it. And of course, there we've got a GruBy actually coming out here from Vexxed now. He's going to pick up 2 kills. So for the retake scenario here on Vexxed ends, that's going to leave it into a 2-on-3 as they try to push their way out here and get control back. But both are working in from connectors, so it's going to be a little bit rough. Not a whole lot of nades here. In fact, no nades at all here. We've got GruBy with a little bit of armor, so we might be able to take some hits, but it's actually going to leave Furlan as the opening player to move in there. Flusha jumps out. Pronax cuts 1 down, and the second. Good play from him. And there we go, Fnatic picking that one up, and, you know, now, here's the thing, too, is we haven't really seen a whole lot of situations where one of these teams has ecoed the other, because, for the most part, the buys have been fairly preserved from these players, and you look at this money situation from Vexxed, it looks like they, at the very least, for Hyper, he's going to go all in, and some of these other players are going to, at the very least, buy up the Eagles for themselves, too. P250 on a GruBy, but beyond that, not a whole lot of commitment, so they're going to hope that they can work these Deagles. To be honest, I haven't been super-duper impressed with the Deagle play out of Vexxed as of yet. When you look at a team like Winterfox and whatnot, where they do that a whole lot, and you can see some crazy plays from them, you could definitely feel a little bit more confident with a round like this, but unfortunately I'm not feeling it at the moment for Vexxed, and this might just be a wasted amount of money. Furlan, though, does pick up 1 at the very least, but flusha moves in and gets 2 to correct it right after that one, and now we're looking at Hyper and Peet as the final 2 left alive. Hyper looking to line up the shot here, but flusha also looking for the spray down. Unfortunately for him, Hyper gonna win the long-range battle there with the Deagle, as well olofmeister finds another response, so a 3-on-1, outsider is easily under control. Hyper's gonna go for this flank and attempt to pick one up, but KRIMZ is waiting for him just over there inside of the mid-tunnel, and that's gonna take him down. Fnatic pick up the second. That was a buy from Vexxed, so they won't be able to do it here again unless they really want to stretch the dollars. They're going to have to save for that 14th round. The round share ends up working out a little bit better for them when you consider that, as they're going to go for the full buy up on the 14th round, and they'll have that opportunity to stop them there. But obviously, you know, the less rounds Fnatic have here, the better chance that they can swing a comeback is. But it's definitely looking a little bit rough at this point with them being, you know, almost 10 rounds behind. The odds are getting lower and lower here for the Vexxed fans out there. They definitely impressed us over on Overpass, but Train, looking at the stats, is definitely a weak map for them, and I think they've got a lot of improvement and a lot of work to do here before they can feel confident on, whereas Fnatic have definitely perfected their own strategies on this map. They feel confident in it, and just evident here again by this eco round. No damage really at all. Damage comes out, but no kills at all come out onto these Fnatic players. Flusha survives it with 1 HP. Bit unfortunate in that regard, but they're on the T side now too, so these deaths here in these anti-eco rounds, not really going to matter all that much to them, as they can just buy through that for the most part here. You don't really look at those extra deaths adversely affecting the T side so much, as the economy is just so much more forgiving over there. But for Vexxed, this is an interesting buy. 3 ops, and that leaves them with essentially like no smokes or anything here. They've got a couple flashes, but this should be interesting to see how this pans out too, because we see some pretty mean outside smoke setups coming out from Fnatic, and I think that's exactly what we're gonna have now. Look at Hyper, interesting positioning from him. He's gonna place himself right in the Hornet's nest as he pushes himself forward, and Rallen picks up the first kill. Unfortunately, that position from Hyper was not too good. Peet, though, able to find another one, and then GruBy from Heaven too. They're actually doing this very well. KRIMZ and JW are gonna be the final 2 alive as they do sneak that plan in, and now things get interesting here, as those smokes are still in play for a couple extra seconds here. Vexxed is going to wait it out, but there's Peet picking up 1 kill. It's all on JW. Finds 1, looking for the second, but he's trapped now, and Furlan is going to be able to shut him down with the USP. They'll have the field defuse, but plenty of time left on the clock, of course. So Vexxed are, with a triple op setup, going to be able to win the first gun round here. Well, rifle round, quote-unquote. And that'll be 5 points on the board for them. So this is just the same way that they started off in that last map too. It was, you know, it was 10-5. I think it was like 13-5 when Vexxed picked up their first point in the previous one. They're a little bit further behind, but this is the same formula for a comeback from Vexxed. So they still have a little bit more to work through here before they can break the Fnatic economy and start picking up those free rounds to really bring back the scales a little bit here. And Fnatic as well, not going to go down without a fight on that one. They're like, all right, well, you're going to use 3 ops. We can't afford 3, but we can use 2 at the very least. So olofmeister and JW are going to be going for the pickups on those to maybe try to react to this a little bit better and win those aim battles against the oppers here. For Fnatic, though, they play a lot of their players over here towards the backhauls again, so definitely going to be favoring more than likely an inside yard push. They keep olofmeister as well to watch the Ivy flank, just in case somebody tries to get aggressive there from Vexxed. But Vexxed actually putting a lot of their attention. Pardon me, apologies. Vexxed actually putting a lot of their attention sort of into the outside yard here in hopes that it's actually going to push in from that angle, which. Yeah, there's still a decent doubt that it might come in there, and Rallen too, sneaking up that kill over on a JW. There's still a decent chance that we could actually see Fnatic try to go in there, but for the most part, especially with that kill being claimed by Rallen just a couple seconds ago, more than likely they're gonna have to shift this over to an inside take just by the pure lack of info at this point that they have in regards to where Vexxed to place their players. And Vexxed are even reacting to this one too now. They've started to move a little bit more of their player count back over here into this inside yard as they have a feeling it's going to be pushed into here. And with Fnatic taking the timer down this low, they're going to have no choice. Perfect flash, though. Hits Rallen right in the face. He can't pick up the shot. He sees it coming, though, so he's going to call the rotate. They're going to get their way into that site. Look at the nade damage, though, that comes out. Flusha, KRIMZ, and pronax all get super low. A little bit of a dinko is over there on the Rallen, but it's not going to be enough to kill him. Now Hyper moves in. He picks up 1 kill. I'm looking for anything over here to the left of this tanker, but he can't catch it as of yet, and Flush is actually going to shut him down. So they're holding for the time being. There's Peet with another upshot, though, and as well, Hyper moves in for one on the Flushes, so it's just KRIMZ inside of that smoke. He's going to try to hold this one off, but he was sitting outside of that, so obviously GruBy was going to be able to catch him the second he turned around. And we will end up seeing again their Vex come out on top with a very, very clean round. 4 people left alive. Almost a team ace as well. I think Furlan was the only player that didn't get a piece of the action that time. But overall, that is definitely going to help once more to build up the economy on their own side here, which definitely was a problem, and I hope it doesn't become a problem again if we see this same situation that we had in the last map repeat itself, where they get very close to coming back, but mainly because of a lack in the economy, they're not really able to hold off once Fnatic finally stole back into the round with that huge streak from Vexxed. But for Fnatic, at the very least, their money is still sitting at a point where they can sort of go for another rifle round here. JW has been reduced back over here to a UMP once again so that he can try to save up some money for an op if his team does come out successfully. But for the rest, JW are going to sit behind as they lead their way down into the ladder room. No resistance on that, but everybody from Vexxed already moving into the outside yard here to try to resist this. Flusha moves in, spots one over here up towards Heaven, trying to take this duel, and he corrects his aim to pick up the headshot over on a Hyper, but there's Rallen as well, working with the op. I think he gets one through the smoke there to pick that one up, as we see that force plant trying to come out there for Fnatic. Doesn't work out, gets up on top of the train, picks up another one over on the Flusha. pronax gets shut down by GruBy there too, and now olofmeister with the AK moves in, finds Peet, but that gets traded out by Furlan, so it's on to KRIMZ again here, and he can't pick up anything. Vex just shut it down. Too slow from Fnatic. They go very quickly into the yard itself, but the plant unfortunately just doesn't end up happening. Those smokes give them very limited info as to where Vexxed are, and Vexxed are just like so quick on the rotate there that they get themselves into the site, and they can just hold that up by pure force here. Still with the double op setup, I should mention too, one of the ops got lost somewhere along the way there. I'm not sure where exactly that happened, but they are still working confidently with this double op setup, and none of these in this round at least have been bought up. They're still using these from previous rounds at this point, so it's still very basically a lot of free guns in the mix here, and that's a lot of money being saved by Vexxed due to this one, and a very confident setup. Now Fnatic, though, their money's been completely broken, and Furlan is just going to go absolutely crazy along with some more of these players here. He picks up 2. Another one is found by Hyper over there as well. Apologies, Furlan finds 3, not 2. I thought I saw someone else stealing a kill from him, but it's just him back over here in the back halls, and pronax is going to try to maybe flash it. The flash comes out well, and ooh, almost gets him. Brings it down to 15 HP. The question now for Furlan is, do I want to play this? Do I want to maybe lose my life and slow my money down a little bit, or do I just want to sit back and take my time? But he's not even going to get a chance to. pronax tries to go to ladder room, but waiting for him is going to be Hyper right over there in his face. So Fnatic once again find that 14th, or apologies, Vexxed find the 8th point onto the board here. And still looking very strong, and you know the comeback train is sort of on the way at this point. They got very close to it last time, and again I think it ended up aligning itself at 13 points. So maybe, just maybe, we can see that happen. It's the same problem as before, where Fnatic or that T side man just not looking so good right now. And all they've got to do is find really just 2 rounds at this point, and they're good to go. But something that's different from that previous map, as I had already discussed, is the fact that the money from Vexxed actually should be building itself up quite nicely at this point, so even that 1-round victory won't be enough to break the money just as of yet, and they're holding strong here at the beginning of this round too, as that outside take attempts to come in here from Fnatic once again. It's a 1-for-1 so far, but they're getting good control here, and the players from Vexxed have actually been boxed in just inside of the yard there. GruBy picks up 1, Flusha finds a response, and they're all stuck behind this smoke. pronax with another one, as does Flusha, and then Peet's going to pick up 1 with the up, so it leaves it into a 2-on-2. GruBy's very low as they try to work their way in over here, mainly through the Ivy tunnel. GruBy's got a little bit more freedom of movement, but a little bit too free, as pronax is going to very quickly shut him down from atop the bomb train. And now Peet too. Peet should really save here. Again, I said the money's good, but it's not that good where they can just afford to lose an op. So the smoke comes out. That timer's way too low, man. Now you just opened yourself up. He's got to get the heck out of here. Try to save this op. Run away, get yourself through Ivy, and that's going to be the plan now for him. But no, he's sticking around. He's looking for more blood here in a second. Thankfully, nobody from Fnatic is directly chasing him, but they are going to try to box him in. And now the question is anybody actually going to catch him? And it doesn't look like they're going to push him heavily enough, so he should be able to make it out of the round with the op. Nonetheless, though, that's match point now for Fnatic. They sit on 15, 1 more away from closing this one out. And of course, they're still going to be able to get their buy going for themselves off of the victory. Vex, it's the same story for them, because they're looking good, and an auto sniper. So it's going to be a triple sniper rifle setup again, but one's an auto, as now they really want to try to shut this one down. And they still got all the buys, too, so the money's in a good spot, thankfully, mainly because they saved that out from the previous round. But here we go. Rallen finds the opening there. A good shot comes out from one of the players, and he's finished off by a nade there, all off the hands of Rallen. Not all going to do some work, and there's the first kill with it. That's going to shut down pronax. Hyper with another one, too. And this just turns it right back around. And here's Furlan. Finds one. KRIMZ trades it out, but they already know where KRIMZ is, and they should have a pretty good idea. They've got him boxed in, too. Just look at this. Let's look at the position they have on him. Unless he goes to the inside yard, you know, he's pretty much going to get caught. And unfortunately, with that bomb being down and outside due to the push that was made there, there's Peet. Not even with a rifle, just shuts him down with a CZ headshot. Nice and easily taking him out, and Vexxed are back in this ball game right after that. And money broken again for Fnatic here, too. They win one, they lose one, now they've got no cash. They're going to be saving here. P250 going over onto pronax. And for the rest of the team, I don't even think they're going to buy anything. Maybe a Deagle, too? Yep, that's exactly what we'll have. olofmeister and JW picking those two up. Beyond that, though, it's just going to be Glocks on flusha, as well as KRIMZ. And the only player that even goes for utility in terms of nades, it'll be pronax with a smoke and a flash. Fnatic are definitely going to still try to attempt to make something happen here at the very least. They definitely want to look for a round, not just, you know, a plant as we saw from Vexxed doing a couple times there on their own eco rounds where they went for like 4 smoke buy-ups and nothing else added into the mix there. As we take a look at where exactly the smoke is going to go, it's going to work its way onto A, so we'll see if that draws the attention of anybody from Vexxed. They've actually been very good at this one too. Vexxed have kind of been thrown off a lot, but I think considering the eco, 1 smoke in the outside yard might be a little suspicious. And indeed it is for Vexxed, as a lot of their players are going to rotate to inside due to this choice, and they should be able to catch them pretty easily. There's 3 kills almost at the same time. Vexxed finds, Furlan, I should say, apologies, finds another one over there onto pronax, and then Furlan picks up the final one too, so good round for him. He's going to find 3 kills, and now we go again. Vexxed 5 points behind now, still with a lot of money stacked up here. Again, the money situation for Vexxed now is kind of irrelevant just because of the fact that they just have to win everything out to take this into overtime. But for Fnatic, they've got to try to manage it a little better. Honestly, I mean, I might have just double saved this. Here's the thing: regardless of what happens here, you're only going to need to win 1 round. So when you look at the economy in a long game aspect, it's sort of like we could sort of let them get to 11 points and then try this with a full buy up here, or we can try this now where they're going to have a full buy-up regardless of what we do, and we're not going to have as much utility as we would have if we just would have waited 1 round. I'm not sure if this was the correct choice from Fnatic or not, but they may just want to be trying to close this one out as quickly as they possibly can before Vexxed really can establish it. They also might not fully understand just how well-grounded Vexxed's economy is at this point here, too. They might be thinking it's gone weaker again, but that is not the case at all. Vexxed have a crap ton of money to work with at this point. It's going to be almost another shutdown round. They found 1 kill on the Hyper, but that's it, and Hyper, again, has been the player that's been playing in the front here on the CT side for Vexxed, so it's no surprise at all to see him go down this time. He's been one of the few that's actually really been in the front lines there with the rifle trying to push these players out, so even more goes into their favor. Almost max cash on Peet at this point as he's sitting at 14.1. For the rest of the players, though, they're still sitting on a double upset. They still got that auto in the hands of GruBy, and Fnatic now have to completely save here once again, and I think they're going to go for that sort of strategy now where it's like, yeah, we need to really get a full buy here. We need a full utility kit to be able to work this take potentially, and as well, they really need to try and stop this op or something else from being worked out here is, I don't know, it's just not really going to be too confident with the very confident crossfire situation that Vexxed has been able to work for themselves so far. I do have to mention, though, that again, I've been surprised in a very big way, and almost seeing olofmeister pick up the kill there too, but for some reason nobody watched that, so we do see olofmeister actually sneaking over, JW I should say, apologies, sneaks away with a kill on a Peet, but maybe the only thing that happens. However, it does draw the attention to the outside yard where the real take is going to be happening inside, so they're going to get the plant here. Nobody should be able to stop that plant. They're still going to kill pronax pretty quickly. He might even get this other kill, but they do escape with him over there towards ramp. He gets the kill. Now with 5 HP though, Rallen's going to be able to shut him down. And we'll look at 3 staying alive for Vexxed that time. So that's good, because now, again, that should enable them to get the full kit that they need here. They have been having trouble, as you can see, with getting plants. It's been 3 rounds in a row now where we saw Vexxed just shutting him down without a plant, but now it finally happens. But to go back to the point here, I really do have to say that I've been surprised again here with Vexxed. I was talking a little bit more about how they're a team that starts off very well when they start on that T side, and you know, they kind of use that momentum to get themselves going, but the CT side, man, it's just been absolutely stellar from them. Not only on this map, but on the previous map there too. They've had this absolutely iron-hard setup where, you know, Fnatic have just had so much trouble getting past it, and it's definitely due to some of Fnatic's own problems that I've been noticing, but for Vexxed too, they've also got a lot of really good things going for themselves. A little bit cheesy when you look at things like this auto and double up setup that they've been working with, but it works out as the angles they work it with are really creative here. Obviously, you know, you've got operas in the typical positions here, but but the peet specifically can come in to really assist GruBy at a moment's notice, because GruBy's got his eyes on T-Con. But then you take a look over here. Peet, so long as Peet's secure back over here with Ivy, he can very quickly move back in and direct his attention to a push that could be coming from ladder rim. So there's, unless they use smoke coverage or something like that, there's really no safe place for Fnatic to work their way in. And obviously, easily there could be a call that comes out from GruBy that if people come out from ladder rim, there to be, yep, let's get in position, because he's going to have a wide open view panel to all that action that'll be going on there. So Fnatic are having a really hard time of trying to find an angle with which they can actually push their way into this site properly and find an avenue that doesn't, you know, lose them 2 to 3 players in the way in before they can even find one trade, and that will leave them in like a 2-on-4 or something like that at the best case scenario. But Peet again from Vexxed is going to start it off strong. The auto there from GruBy just immediately cuts them down. That push comes out, but now we can see that rotation coming in that we were talking about before. Peet can get in position to stop these players moving out, but KRIMZ still managed to sneak his way in as Peet's a little bit too slow in that rotation, so the op actually not going to come into play. Rallen, though, still strong with his own op, gets a close encounter with flusha and takes him down, and now it's just KRIMZ here trying to work this play out, but as we see, KRIMZ shuts down one, now in a 1-on-2 situation here. He's going to push forward to try and take out Rallen as he looks for the spread onto him. He spots him, not able to pick him up just yet, hoping to get lucky. Looking for this one, he's going to pick it up and now with 4 HP, but unfortunately for him, Rallen is going to be able to sneak around and take him out before too much trouble ends up coming his way and before his team almost loses the map off of that one. 13-5 now. Vexxed again. This close. I'm holding my fingers like a millimeter apart right now. This close to making this comeback happen. And still with a very decent amount of money in the setup at this point. A lot of confidence, I imagine, is in their favor, but they can't let that confidence get to their head. As Fnatic, they're still at a point as well with this big losing bonus they've been working with. They're still at a point where they can consistently get through a lot of their buys. It's going to be a little bit awkward this time, of course, with JW just sitting on the CZ and flusha with the Galil. But for the rest of the team, they've got the AKs, so they've got to be careful of the big headshots. And it's going to be a quick attempt now from Fnatic. Once again, they go into that outside yard. They're going to go right forward here. JW pushes forward. The quick plant comes out, and Vexxed are going to be on the timer now. No response from them whatsoever. Hyper's going to try to push forward, but pronax is going to pick up the kill there. That's going to be able to shut him down. JW moving in, gets control of the bomb train. Maybe going up to heaven here in a second as well, as GruBy is still up there with the auto, but Furlan comes in and takes him out. Rallen with another one as well. And pronax along with some more other players still trying to work in from T-Con. And then back over here from ladder rim, there's more working the way, but there's olofmeister. He's going to take down Rallen as the players from Vexxed, they've got the defuse coming out here too, and they're working on it. They might just be able to grab it, but he's out in the open, and KRIMZ shuts 2 of them down. Now it's all going to be on Peet, and that timer too low, trying to sneak the defuse, but I don't think he's actually covered, and KRIMZ shuts it down and kills the dreams of Vexxed. 16-13 is going to be the final score, and Fnatic will win this set with a 2-0 victory. But regardless of Fnatic just coming out on top, still, what an amazing game for a team like Vexxed, who's still really working to establish themselves in the scene, and are still really trying to work their way into that tier 1 echelon of European teams. Great matches from them, definitely looking at them as some very well featured performers. Fnatic, though, you can tell there's definitely still some problems with them, but they do end up making this match for themselves. 16-14 was our first map score, 16-13 was our second map score, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to end our first match of the evening. We do have another one coming up, I believe, very shortly. Let me just check the time very fast here. Yeah, in about 20 minutes, according to the schedule. Might be a little bit more than that if we have trouble getting a server or something like that, but in about 20 minutes, we're going to be having our next match, so be sure to stick around for that one. That one is going to be Piotr versus Navi, so stick around for that, and stick around for more of the StarLadder StarSeries Season 14 presented by iLeague here in just a little bit.